So again, I tell you, write it down. Proverbs 15:13, a happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. 14, the discerning heart seeks knowledge, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly. So why is that right after Proverbs 15:13? Why does it then say, the discerning heart seeks knowledge, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly? Because if you are wise, right, the wise in heart are called discerning, is what the Bible says. If you are wise, okay, you seek knowledge of God. You don't feed on folly, right? Where bread stands for the presence of God, okay, what you're feeding on is the presence of evil, of selfishness, greed, wickedness, injustice, pitifulness, shallowness, childishness, stupidity, what have you. So the discerning heart seeks knowledge of God through the top martial arts ever, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly. But the actions of a fool, a rebel, a hell-bound idiot, feeds on rebellion. Okay, the Bible says rebellion is like the sin of arrogance and idolatry and divination. Okay, it is stupid. Proverbs 16:15. When a king's face brightens, it means life. His favor is like a rain cloud in spring. Okay. In Proverbs 16:12, one of the most quoted scriptures I quote, it says, kings detest wrongdoing, for a throne is established in righteousness and justice. Okay, so kings detest romantic injustice. Okay, God is love. So then a few scriptures later it says, when a king's face brightens, it means life. His favor is like a rain cloud in spring. Okay, Jesus comes back on a cloud and it favors the righteous, and it's a driving rain against the wicked. Okay, the floodgates, the gate of the floodgates. So it's metaphorically speaking, my presence here is damning the wicked. When God sends the top martial artist ever, they're done. The most important parable in the Bible is the parable of the tenants. And the core message of it is, last of all, he sends his son. He says he's the top martial artist ever. Okay, is what it's implied. Okay, the Lord thy God is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Okay, the top martial artist ever. They're supposed to respect him and obey God through him. He who sees the Son sees the Father. They see the top martial arts ever possible. The pinnacle of righteousness, justice, morality among people. Okay? And what do? They just act like spoiled little Babylon, sniveling idiots that never grew up. They don't have a speck of the form of intelligence that I talk about, the form of intelligence. Okay, the forms of intelligence. Okay, existential, knowing why you're here. Okay, spatial, how 3D objects relate in nature. Interpersonal, how understanding yourself and understanding others. They don't truly have intelligence or wisdom. They're just book smarts and systems that are designed to favor their way of thinking, which is like a child, an unfocused, silly brat that doesn't understand the true purpose of life. So again, I tell you, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. They're not supposed to break the heart of the king. That's why it says right there in Proverbs 15:13, a happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. The discerning heart seeks knowledge, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly. Okay, that's the next verse. Then Proverbs 16, the next chapter, it says, when a king's face brightens, it means life. His favor is like a rain cloud in the spring. They're not talking about these stupid kings of the earth, okay? Because in Revelation, the beast that the whore is riding is the eighth king of the earth. He has 7 heads, which are 7 kings and 7 hells, and he has 10 horns, which are 10 kings and 10 kingdoms. Okay, so they're talking about the King of Kings, the only king right with God. We see that in Psalm 82, which Jesus cites in John 10, where he says all the other kings of the earth are idiots. Okay, they're not upholding righteousness and justice. Okay, see verse 14. Excuse me. Proverbs 18:12. Before a downfall, the heart is haughty, but humility comes before honor. To answer before listening, that is folly and shame. So to answer God before seeking God and seeking the characteristics of someone who's right with God and understanding where they're wrong if they're wrong. Because other people, they're, priests, you could really quickly figure out that they're wrong because they're upholding white supremacy. The traditions of churches that owns slaves, that promoted slavery, and individuals in their church were like, well, that guy was an abolitionist. Great. Wow. One guy, like a speck of sand on the beach, was an abolitionist. A speck of sand was green instead of the rest of the color. But we know that that beach, that field, is not where to look. Okay? You don't pick figs from thorn bushes. If it happened to be a fig on a thorn bush, that doesn't mean you pick figs from that thorn bush. You look for the fig tree. Okay? Where was I here? The human spirit can endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? Okay, so it's saying don't crush the spirit of the king. Who can bear, right? It says not even the king can bear having his heart broken. Okay, he's not going to function as effectively. So don't break my heart. Don't. And you see society, they raise their daughters to shun me. That by itself did them in. If we're going to separate that from everything else, they were warned thoroughly in Proverbs, which starts with Proverbs 1, which says it's to understand the rest of the Bible. If you don't understand Proverbs to a respectable degree, and if you don't understand why I'm right about these things, you don't understand the rest of the Bible. You shouldn't be teaching. If you don't live these things, you shouldn't be teaching about the Bible. Okay? So again, it says a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. The human spirit can endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? And a happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. Okay, so what is the message again? In case there's any confusion, this is important. Okay, it's don't break the king's heart. Don't move against me. Don't be a stumbling block to me. That's why Jesus called Peter Satan. He said, get behind me, Satan, you're a stumbling block to me because you're interfering with God's work. Even if God's work is going to get me killed, you're supposed to pick up your cross and follow me and die with me. When Jesus said, I'm going back to somewhere that was dangerous, I think it was like a Jerusalem or something, they said, let's go with him so we can die with him. So we can die with him. And Peter said to Jesus, I would die with you. And he said, no, before the cock has crowed 3 times, you'll deny me. And he says, the greatest commandment is love the Lord thy God with all your mind, your heart, and your soul, okay, and your being. Okay, and he says, greater love has none than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friends. So you're supposed to love God with all your heart, obey me with all your heart and all your being and all your mind, and you're supposed to raise your daughters not to reject me no matter what. Okay, I'm even called the bridegroom. Okay, and you think I'm going to be some King Solomon player or something? No. Okay, but you couldn't do it. You couldn't raise your daughters to put the most righteous person ever number 1 in their book and let nothing stop them from dating them because you people are fucking idiots. Okay, and you're evil. The Lord weighs your heart, and your heart is evil. It's in the wrong place. It's evil. Okay, Proverbs 24, further sayings from the wise. These are also sayings of the wise. To show partiality in judging is not good. Whoever says to the guilty, you are innocent, will be cursed by peoples and denounced by nations. Now, if you say to someone that you will marry them, if someone says, will you take my hand in marriage, and they're not in the divine order, you're basically saying, and you say yes, you're basically saying to the guilty that they're innocent. And that you'll be cursed by people and denounced by nations. Okay, that's why people are pitiful and evil, and they look fucked in the head and unfocused, and they're focused on evil when they look more focused than other people because they are cursed by the peoples and the nations and God. First and foremost by God and me. Okay? They're not in a reproductive cycle. They're not in a movement. They're not in a state of being. They're not cultivating righteousness and justice. They're cultivating the curse of the peoples they marry and they associate with and they work for, and the nations they marry in and associate with and work for. Pretty straightforward. In life we see their pitiful state, and in the afterlife they suffer. 25. But it will go well for those who convict the guilty, and rich blessing will come on them. Again, Matthew 6. Store riches in heaven, not on earth. Okay, I guess I meant to put 26. It says 16. I meant to put 26. I guess it says an honest answer is like a kiss on the lips. Okay, an honest answer. For those of you like, no, he's stretching it because he can't get a date. Then why? In what I believe is the next verse, does it say an honest answer is like a kiss on the lips? Okay, if someone says, will you marry me? You should know to say no. If they're not in the divine order, no one is but me. And that should be the honest answer. Okay? That is the true answer from God. God's verdict is that you're not supposed to marry him. And you're not supposed to stay in marriages when they won't obey God through me. Okay? So it's compared to a kiss on the lips. Right? A happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. Okay? A gorgeous woman not rejecting me and communicating receptivity from the start makes my heart cheerful, right? And if she's the one for me, for example, if I decide she's the one for me, it's like a kiss on the lips. Bitch ass motherfucking elf looking cowards and assorted Ichabobs and scum behind the scenes playing matchmaker, okay? Assorted fucking brutes playing matchmaker, okay, is a profound and disgusting and dishonorable thing for them to do. If you don't know why that is, you're a fucking idiot. All right, next session, let's just shoot through this real quickly. It's about why it's obvious that women should be choosing righteousness and not the rich. They go way out of their way to make it clear to women and everyone else with what skill to use when marrying. Okay, Proverbs 15:16. Better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. Right? Choose the poor righteous guy, not the rich bitch and his social norm stupidity. 17. Better a small serving of vegetables with love than a fattened calf with hatred. Better the love of God and you hardly have anything and you're homeless, if that's what needs to happen, than to have lots of money or be financially stable with God hating the shit out of you for not obeying him and shunning his son. Proverbs 16:8. Better the poor whose walk is blameless than much gain with injustice. 19. Better to be lowly in spirit with the oppressed than to share plunder with the proud. Okay, you should understand why I'm right about these things by now. Proverbs 19:1. Better the poor whose walk is blameless than a fool whose lips are perverse. That word is like the word perverted, right? The people take a bribe to pervert the course of justice in secret, the Bible says, right? Better the poor whose walk is blameless than a fool whose lips are perverse. Their actions are perverse. They're in rebellion against the Royal African Falcon Top Martial Arts Order, okay? That God set apart. This is just a label for this particular type of African martial arts that went beyond everything else, okay, in spirit, in hand-to-hand combat, in outdoor sparring, right, in character, so on and so forth, right, that Martin Luther King was just a remnant of, right, he was like a leftover of, right, where I'm the core essence of. That's why they changed my voice, because they're on some petty social club nonsense, okay. Proverbs 20:15. Gold there is and rubies in abundance, but lips that speak knowledge are a rare jewel. Okay, so every dickhead, there's over 54 million millionaires and billionaires in the world. Okay, that's a dime a dozen. You know what I'm saying? That's more than a lot of countries in the world's population. Okay, people have money everywhere, but someone who actually knows God and their actions reflect that, okay, that's a true treasure. Proverbs 21:6. A fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare. Proverbs 22:1. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Be esteemed by God. Jesus said, woe to you when all men speak well of you, because that's how their ancestors spoke of the false prophets. So they mean esteemed by the righteous who are screened out, esteemed by God. Okay, esteemed by me. One is right with God, and it is, when one is right with God, and is, okay, when one is right with God, it is a more fulfilling life. When you live that life, it is clear. Okay, I'm going to have to edit this thing and release this later. What a pain in the ass. Everyone thanks Lord for delaying the release of this video and the one before this by doing bitch ass shit to interfere. Proverbs 22:16. One who oppresses the poor to increase his wealth, and one who gives gifts to the rich both come to poverty, right? Is giving your daughter's hand in marriage a gift to the rich? Okay, if it is, yes. Okay, is being a woman and marrying that person, giving yourself to that person in your life and your time, a gift to that person? Yes. You come to spiritual poverty, right? Proverbs says the rich are wise in their own eyes. One who's poor and discerning sees how deluded they are. Proverbs 23:17. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but always be zealous for the fear of the Lord. Self-explanatory. Proverbs 23:23. Buy the truth and do not sell wisdom and instruction and insight as well. Buy it by sacrificing worldly things to obey God through me. Buy the truth, the way, the truth, and the life, right? Not with money, not trying to buy my soul, but, by your time, by your labor, by your obedience, by your loyalty. Okay, Proverbs 23:27. For an adulterous woman is a deep pit, and a wayward wife is a narrow well. Like a bandit, she lies in wait and multiplies the unfaithful among men. Again, okay, it's warning people to not marry wicked women. It's to not be part of a wicked culture, right? Daughter Jerusalem, daughter Babylon, what have you. Okay? To not be part of a wicked nation and a spirit and a culture and so on and so forth. See, I live in this nation, but my kingdom is not of this world. My nation is not of this world. Okay, that's also overkills Galatians 3:4, where it says it's Jerusalem in the sky, and it's not about flesh, it is about the spirit, and that spirit, when you look at what is set apart as the pinnacle of righteousness, is the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order, which won't exist after I die. For those of you who are racist or hyper-ethnic, proud, ethnocentrics, whatever, okay, there cannot be any valid martial art order after I'm gone. Okay, all you people who are petty were like, yay, we screened him out. He's the last one. Okay, you're going to learn the hard way why it was the dumbest thing you could possibly do. Okay, but if it makes you feel better, all sports, all martial arts, it will obviously be invalid. It'll be a joke like Tyson Fury and Usyk and Deontay Wilder and John Jones, some clown-ass people no one respects. Okay, but anyway, I'm going to have to make a part 3. So we'll end it there.